We're missing a few people here.
No, I'm here.
Anyway, they say we cannot work with what we don't have. We work with what we have. It's a pleasure to be here, and me and my wife made that trip here to meet all of you. And we never met so many people from out west. We're usually out east or in Europe or somewhere else down south. It was, I think, was our second trip down out west. We've been through here last year when we went to Australia. That's as far west as we went and down under as we went. It took me 3 weeks to get back on the road after my trip. But it was a nice conference. I'm here to talk about the strategic plan. But before I do so, I would like first to introduce to you the member of the team that works with me, which are called the ISB, International Service Board. There's some of them that are here, so I'd like to have them here on the stage, please. Mark Kurtz, please. Mark Kurtz is the CFO of the Urantia Association. The chair of the Destination Committee. Rick Lyon is the chair of the Subgroup Committee. Forgetting someone? No. There's more to them. There's more of us. Some of us could not be here. There's Jerry Prentice and his wife. Carrie was the Education Committee chair, and Jerry had a mild heart attack or something wrong with his heart, so they could not be here. There's also Eddie King, who was chair of the conference committee, could not be here, but he sends his best wishes. There's also Travis Binion, who's from the same area, south of Chicago, who is the chair of the Charter and Bylaw Committee, who could not be here. There's also Gary Rawlings from the United Kingdom, who's chair of the membership, and was supposed to be here for some reason, could not make it. And there's also the last one, who is our friend Pep Sober from Estonia, who's in charge of translation. So we are a team of 12 people working very hard. That's my French. Sorry, guys. I get mixed up sometimes in my head with languages. And we're working very hard to try to get IUA on the road and focus on its mission, which is so important. This is a sobering experience when we read Urantia book and we hear about that. So we hope that in the future there's going to be more of us volunteering to do the work that is necessary to get this world out of the trouble that it's in. Everywhere I fly, I'm asking myself the same question again. Why am I doing this? We need to ask that question. Why are we doing this? And it's always the same answer. Because when I was younger, when I was a kid, I had this missionary idea in my mind. I wanted the world to become a better place to live in. A safe place where kids can grow without fear. Where people can enjoy good health, good education. Where people can grow in love and friendship and brotherhood. Where there's no war, no starvation, no debilitating sickness. But for this to happen, it started here with us, today, not tomorrow. So this is why we have to give some of ourselves, a part of ourselves, in this whole adventure. Remember Matadormus when Jesus asked him, "Are you ready to give everything you have to follow me?" And Matadormus, well, you know, all this money that he had. Oh, geez, I can't give all this money, you know. Have we ever asked that question to ourselves? How much are we ready to give for God? Have you ever done the exercise of sitting by yourself and saying, what am I ready to give? Am I ready to give everything for this? Try it. I did. And geez, I had a hard time with that. Doesn't matter what we have, it's a million or just $10 in our pocket, or a house, or whatever. It's always hard answering that question. Well, once we answer it, we are liberated. And then we can go ahead and move on and do greater things. One step at a time, progressively. So UAI has been working on a strategic plan. I mean, the ISB with a team of volunteers from local association. Bennett was part of that work, and he diligently was with us every time we met in Chicago. There was Nick Scalzo also that came. There was Barry, where is he? Daryl was with us at 1 or 2 times. There were others that came in to listen on and to give their own idea of how we could work at this. And we worked incessantly for weekends, on whole weekends, three days at a time, and we went back home, kept working on this. And finally this year, after a 4 or 5 day session with Mirandi Swanley, who was living in Toronto at this time, she came to my place in Montreal, near Montreal, and we worked at it for full days at a time. And with her knowledge of business and strategies, we were able to come out with a plan, but a plan that was a scaffolding of a plan that could work for everyone. And would it not be for Mirandi and her knowledge and her dedication to see this thing through, I don't think we could have pulled it off completely. So thank you, Mirandi. Now, some of you might ask, why a plan? Why a strategic plan? You know, it looks like a business, and we're not in the business. Well, I have a motto that I got from one of my friends. A failure to plan is a plan for failure. So if you don't plan, and I used to say to myself all the time, and I had that before I became the president of the UAI, if you don't organize yourself, you get organized, whether you like it or not. And lately, I've come to another conclusion. You know, when we don't have a plan, then we start doing all kinds of things, you know, because we don't know what to do. We have no sense of direction. It's like a ship on the high sea. If you've ever been on a ship on a high sea, if you don't have a compass to direct you where you're going, if you don't have a goal where you're going, well, you're going to go everywhere, where the wind pushes you. It's like when you drive your car. You know, you just have to take your eyes off the road for 5. You ever tried that? And see where you're going to go? It doesn't take long, you know, you're going to be on the other side of the road or in the ditch. So imagine with your life now. You don't have a plan. You don't know where you're going. Imagine with UAI, with your own organization. You don't have a plan. You're looking sideways. You're doing all kinds of things except what you should be doing. And first thing you know, you're not anywhere. You're not going anywhere. So I figure that if we spend enough time doing the right things, there'll be less chance for us to do the wrong things. And we'll move ahead. So in building that plan, what is so important is that we know why we are doing it. And once we know why we are doing it, we'll find out how to do it. As of other people say, well, how are we going to do things? No, let's find out first why we're doing things. So we will provide people with a template. And with this template, they can build their own plan. It doesn't have to be complicated. And later on, I will invite Chris Wood and Bennett to come here and explain probably to you the little step you can take in building your own plan. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can maybe sometimes be one objective, one thing you need to do for this year. But step by step, you know, it's like how do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And one day there's no more an elephant. You know, if you work in your yards, you get a big pile of dirt, brought in by a truck, and you look at this, it's way big, and you got just a small wheelbarrow. But one shovel at a time, one little piece of dirt at a time, you wheelbarrow, and first thing you know, 3 to 4 days later, there's no more that big pile of dirt there. It's the same thing with the strategy. We worked at it consistently, methodically, and all the time, like a wave that hits the cliff. Years after years, years after years, and one day there's no more cliff, there's just a beautiful beach. That's how it's done. So a strategic plan is good for at least 5 years. It's not only to write it down, but it's also to work at it and to evaluate our actions while we are going.